Howdy, y'all. I'm Adam the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome back to my continuing suffering of Shooty Who Season 2. We're on Episode 6, The Interstellar Competition, written by Juno Dawson. I'm going to take a moment here to remind everybody who Juno Dawson is. Juno Dawson is an it, they, them, who wrote a book for grooming children. I'm going to just leave it right there. I'm not going to go too much deeper because that's not really what this is for. I'm just going to remind you who wrote this book. You want to learn more about that? There's a video way back a few months ago on the channel where we discussed who Juno Dawson was in depth. You can also go check out Dermy Wormy's channel. He also went into depth on who Juno Dawson was. A creep, a weirdo, a dangerous individual who, as I said, wrote a book to teach children how to be groomed, to teach people how to groom children for, let's just say, despicable acts. But they're praised as a pioneer in they-them culture. They wrote this episode. This dude, it's a dude pretending to be a woman, wrote this episode, and you feel it at times. It also is an episode written by somebody who thinks they know what Doctor Who is, who puts on a coating over it. And if you don't think too hard for just a brief moment or two, you think, wow, okay, something's actually happening here in this episode. When you think hard about it and you look at the details of what went down, nothing actually happened. Nothing got resolved. A lot of things were put into play that the real Doctor would deal with. But in the end, Shooty doesn't do shit. Shooty just gets angry after crying and then pretends to be hardcore, which is very unbelievable. But let's get right into it, shall we? We begin with Shooty and Belligerent arriving at this interstellar singing competition. I'm going to go right forward. I'm not going to make fun of singing competitions because I don't understand them. They are not made for me. I personally don't think those involved are generally talented, but that's because I have an ear for a different era of real master of singing and dancing and stuff like that. So I will not comment on that. That being said, this whole thing is silly. And granted, it is kind of amped up to be even more silly than the real thing, but it's silly, it's annoying, and I don't understand the culture. Therefore, I'm just going to move on from that and not really heavily comment on it because, as I said, it is not made for me. Therefore, I'm not even going to try. We're back in the show. They introduce some dude who I guess is relevant for singing competitions as the host, and everybody's excited, and I'm going to try and cut through most of this as quickly as possible because I want to focus on the points of the story where where Juno Dawson pretends to tell a Doctor Who story, but really has no depth to their shallow interpretation of what a Doctor Who story is. We very quickly find out that the competition is about to be hijacked, taken over by these aliens with horns in the back of their head. I forget their name. Hellions. No, I remembered. Hellions. Who are considered pariahs of the galaxy because of rumors and mills and this and that. And there's the thing we're going to talk about real quick. Throughout the episode, Juno Dawson runs the narrative that the Hellions they're misunderstood. They're misunderstood because the truth is bad corporation ruined their planet. I'll get into that in a little bit as another failure of this episode. And because bad corporation did this, they're desperate and all their rumors are untrue and this and that. And it's a combination, as I understand it, because we're going to go through the episode where people are going to denigrate Hellions, say horrible rumors about Hellions, and then we're going to see the Hellions in action saying, oh, we might as well be the bad, horrible things you think we are. It's a thinly veiled commentary on racisms, on immigration, and not-so-secret agenda. Where everybody who suffers those things, they're not really the bad things you say, and they pretend by cutting off their horns and they're still this, that. Shut up. Just shut up. Because you set up a whole story and you didn't actually follow through, and I'll get to that in a moment. Right, so as I said, Shooty and Belligerent arrive. They're all excited. They're going to play, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. And then Shooty Who notices that there's some problems. Meanwhile, in the crowd, there's Mrs. Flood. And yes, we're going to get all the Mrs. Flood answers in this episode. And I will say, Jed was right. Jed called it. Anyway, I also was sort of right. I was also sort of right, too. We'll get to that again in a moment. Shooty Who notices that there's problems going on because what happens is Hellion Dude has hacked all the security robots. He takes over the program. His girlfriend was a mole, and they're going to now be terrorists and kill everybody in the name of showing how bad the corporation was that took over their planet and farmed it for seeds to make artificial honey. Yes, I'll explain that right now. We're going to learn that the Hellions were not bad people. They were a peaceful people until the corporation came in and basically murdered them all so they could buy the planet and take it over and farm it and basically strip mine it for poppy seeds to make poppy honey, the sponsor of the show, of the Interstellar Singing Contest. Now, they set up this whole thing repeatedly, how bad the corporation is. Capitalism bad, everybody, because capitalism will go to your world and it'll murder you, and it'll take everything over, and then it'll take it all away and leave you in ruins. No, that sounds like commie Marxism. I'm sorry, but that's actually commie Marxism, not capitalism. Capitalism unchecked is bad, but capitalism generally makes money and makes the world better for people. It's commie Marxism that takes everything away and leaves nothing for the people that were there. That's what commie Marxism is. So this is Reality Inversion by Juno, Dawson, and RTD. Anyway, so they set up this whole thing, corporation bad, and we're doing all this so that everybody knows. Here's the problem. Throughout the episode, they keep preaching this, but they contradict themselves. By killing hundreds and thousands of people, and then in turn, when they set off a bomb device that's going to melt the brains of everybody through the transmission, killing 3 trillion people, that's supposed to show how bad the corporation is and the truth of what they did to their world. That, yes, now, granted, in a storytelling purposes, that shows the warped nature of what these Hellions believe and what they need to do, and they're terrorists and bad. The problem is, when we go through the whole thing, Shooty Who, real doctor would have said, oh my God, this is terrible. You did a bad thing, and I'm going to make sure you pay for it, but at the same time, I'm going to take the extra step to show that what was bad and done to your planet without hurting people. But no, that entire storyline gets completely forgotten, which shows the bad writing of Juno Dawson. Setting things up and not understanding that the doctor would have solved that problem by the end. But not Shooty Who. Not Shooty Who. Because what happens is they triangulate, they get it done. Mrs. Flood is very happy that she has all the data she needs now, but she's still going to enjoy the show. And as I said, the horned Hellion dude will take over the entire systems. He's going to dissolve the Mavity control bubble. Yes, this is the thing that really sets me off the entire episode. Over and over again, they keep saying Mavity, Mavity, Mavity. Remember during the 60th, RTD replaced the word gravity with Mavity after fake Isaac Newton got hit on by fake Doctor and fake Donna? Remember that? So Mavity gets repeated over and over again in this episode, and it's maddening because it's stupid. It's a joke that should have been undone when it was made. Retarded, but no, in the Doctor Who universe, there's no such word as gravity, it's Mavity. So he dissolves the Mavity shield, and everybody floats up into space, but Shooty Who actually did something clever. He saw it was coming and turned up the Mavity of the space station in order to keep everybody from being completely destroyed by zero-G vacuum. So instead, they're all just cryo-frozen up there. Now, Belligerent survives. She gets trapped in a bubble, this and that, because along with another singer chick who turns out to be a Hellion in disguise because she cut her horns off so she'd be accepted, but she really is true on the inside. She's really something else on the inside, and you should be proud of it. See what I'm talking about here? And they'll eventually find each other. Thing is now, the Hellion and his girlfriend are going to try and set up the bomb, and now we got Shooty Who in deep space, and he's freezing over, and he then has a vision of Susan telling him, grandfather, no, wake up. And here's where I was right. I said that Susan would show up at some point. There was too many hints from last season to this season that Susan was going to be out there. And that's the original actress. That is the original actress. The original Susan has returned, which kind of makes this all the worse that they actually brought her back for this bullshit. And he keeps having visions, and he wakes himself up, somehow magically unfreezes himself, and will use a stupid confetti cannon to push himself to the station. Meanwhile, he gets intercepted by two gay men, a gay couple, who become prominent and awesome in this episode. Yes, they just keep shoving that in your face. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you. Oh, I didn't know you were good at this. Oh, we're going to be catty bitches, but then we're going to be lovey-dovey with each other. It's annoying shit. But they're, of course, coincidentally, I know Jed's going to love that, they're coincidentally the two most perfect semi-companions Gay Shooty could have found. One of them is the computer specialist who designed the entire holo matrix of the station for the event, and the other one is a perfect nurse. Nurse is a male nurse. The perfect nurse who is just going to be able to revive the doctor, and he's going to revive everybody else later. And I must remind you, they're both thirsty for him. They're both thirsty as hell for Shooty Who. So, on one side, you're going to have Shooty Who and the gay men and the gay couple who are going to now try and stop what's going on. On the other side, you're going to have Belligerent and the Hellion singer chick and her manager who's going to reject her when he finds out she's a Hellion. He's like, oh, you're disgusting. Oh, what anything to do with you? And they're on the other side are going to try and convince the other two because she coincidentally grew up with them on the Hellion homeworld, and she might be able to talk them down. Now, Shooty Who thinks that Belligerent is dead, and he gets a cold, icy place in his heart. And after crying a bunch from seeing visions of Susan and I guess thinking about Belligerent, and we're going to find out later Gallifrey being wiped out by the Master, he's going to confront Hellion dude with fake machismo. And here's the thing. Now, if this was any other doctor, this would be believable, where Shooty Who goes to war. He goes all cold and evil and belligerent, sees, oh my God, I've never seen him like this before. Of course you haven't. You've been traveling with him for all of a day and a half. They're still wearing the same clothes from last episode. She hasn't really been a companion. She doesn't really know him. She hasn't been on adventures. And they're going to spend this episode, once again, the disconnected attempt to make Belligerent acceptable and amiable. They have completely, once again, flipped her character. Now she's all crying. I miss my parents. I remember my parents. I love the doctor. It's all flipped, and she hasn't actually had any experiences to earn this. She's still the belligerent, dumb bitch she was before, just being reversed for a writer like Juno Dawson, who hasn't bothered to realize that this character is an asshole. Right. So Shooty Who threatens Horned Hellion dude who is threatening to kill everybody, and he says, I'm going to make you suffer. You've created an icy place in my heart that will never go away. And he, as I said, he does all of this. He tries to be macho and big and this and that after crying. There was more crying. And we're supposed to believe, oh, suddenly he's going to be all macho. And Shooty just doesn't have the gravitas for it. He doesn't. Yet, there are moments where he almost does it. I'll admit it. I can be fair. There are moments, and it's later. It's in the back half of this where it's almost believable. But it really isn't, because you remember he was crying. And then a second later, he'll cry some more. Anyway, using the technology of the dude who built, the gay man who built the holographic interface, all this stuff, they're going to do this whole thing where they're going to break into the whole control center of the station. And I want to remind you, there has been agenda throughout this whole thing. There's been references to pronouns. There have been references to all kinds of stuff. It's all in here. This episode is packed with it. They break in there, and after some holographic trickery, Shooty Who will then torture the Horned Hellion man with a holographic glove by turning his hologram with a hard light and saying, you wanted to kill 3 trillion people, so I'm now going to cause you pain 3 trillion times. Now, at a glance, this is actually pretty cool. This is hardcore Doctor. This is the Doctor going to war. The problem is the Foundation is bare. There is no real reason given until later, and even then, it's reinforcing Shooty Who, Chin Balls, Dr. Karen, Jodie Whittaker era. It has nothing to do with real Doctor Who, and the motivations are just all wrong, and they're not expressed properly. So you're having a hard time wondering, why has he gone so hardcore all of a sudden, and this and that. But as I said, I'll give Shooty a little credit. When he's standing there doing the damage to the dude, it was believable for a fraction of a second. For a fraction of a second, it was believable. But then Belligerent's going to show up, and he's going to cry a little bit and whimper, and even though it's thawed a little bit, the ice will remain in his heart. He'll give a lecture to and of course you've noticed, but I'll say it now, to the evil white-horned alien man. You notice he's white, and I will never forgive you, because you're all the evil people like you who use and this is where the show attempts to make it clear that, oh, these are bad people. So of course the Doctor's going to be hardcore and not forgive them. But of course he's white. And two, it's a lame attempt, because the real Doctor, as I said a little bit ago, would have understood what you just did is horrible. But unlike the black man from last episode was just going to kill 7 billion people, and I forgave him, I'm not going to forgive you because of your issues with your home world and the corporation. So you're gone. Oh, hello. Please excuse the obvious change in shirt. Had a little audio issues with that segment of the previous recording. Hence, I am now back some hours later to fix it. My point I was about to make was, they semi-abandon or poorly execute the conclusion of the Poppy Corporation honey killing, destroying of Hellion world by, instead of having the Doctor be the one to solve the problem and go click, click, I'm doing a Doctor thing, gonna right or wrong. No, once again, in classic new Shooty Who fashion, they take his agency and give it to somebody else, namely a Hellion girl pretending not to be a Hellion girl who would admit she's a Hellion girl, and I'm now gonna sing a song to all of you for the competition, telling you about the lost world, what the evil corporation did, the song they took from us, and how our souls are died, and that's it. That's the payoff for this. She sings a song, makes everybody cry, gets told, yes, queen, you go, girl, and it's solved. No, it's not solved, because we don't actually know what happened. Instead of probably original, real Doctor Who fashion, the Doctor would have done something to shine the criminal activities of the corporation. This is what Shooty Who is. It's garbage. It's shit. They don't actually let him be the Doctor. They don't give him anything to do. They always take his achieving moments and give them to somebody else, usually a woman. Because they don't care about how the Doctor would behave. And now let's go back to Adam from a few hours ago. And then the episode's kind of over, except for the big reveal. They watch the show. Belligerent and Shooty are very happy. Shooty explains. She gets to tell him that she loves him. She's so proud of him that he's good again. And then they're going to go off into the retardus, because they got enough information. And they're going to go to now they have enough to go to May 24th, next weekend, 2025, the penultimate episode. But the problem is, they get to that point in time and the TARDIS's door explodes inward. And then we have a stinger. Mrs. Flood gets defrosted. As I mentioned, the Merce was the perfect man to defrost everybody, because they rejiggered the whole system to tractor beam people in with the hard light hologram and then defrost everybody and save everybody so the show could go on. Then Mrs. Flood was the last one saved, and as Jed predicted, she's a time lady, but not just any time lady. She turns out to be the Ronnie. The Ronnie is back. Now, I admit I don't know much about the Ronnie. She appeared in all of 3 episodes in late era classic Who. And listen, she's a Time Lord. She's a time lady. She's a villain. So they want to say on par with the Master. I don't know about that, but she's a real Doctor Who villain. And her whole business is that she likes to experiment on humans, and she does bad things, and she hates the Doctor. Well, it turns out Mrs. Flood is the Ronnie, but instead of just regenerating to new one, they do another bi-regeneration. At least this one can kind of be believable, or she's born out of another woman's cooch. But still, They buy Regenerate, and of course, the real Ronnie, because they make a point right here of saying that Mrs. Flood is a Ronnie, but the new brown woman is the Ronnie. And I find it interesting. This is where my mind went on this. This is RTD and Juno Dawson. This is really RTD, but telling us that the bi regeneration, the old one, is the lesser version, who now has to be subservient to the other one, because now Mrs. Flood is all subservient. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Subservient to the new one, which is RTD reinforcing that the original version is the leftovers and the new one is real. No. A bi-regenerated new version is a clone. It's a copy. It's not the real thing, no matter how hard you try to tell us. So now the Ronnie is here, and I guess that's the tease for the whole time. The Ronnie was pulling the strings. She's been collecting her Legion of Doom, and they're now going to go up against Shooty Who and Belligerent in the next episode. Because, yeah, of course they survived whatever exploded through the retardus. Of course they survived. And she's going to now have all the data. Something was protected, something was saved, and now she's going to go be evil, and I guess we'll get stuff. That's the episode. So let's recap real quick. Pushing a lot of gay agenda, pushing pronouns, pushing women's, pushing attempted at racism, immigration, but you don't understand. Capitalism bad, counter Marxism good. It's all in there. It's all in there, and we'll go into it even deeper on Doctor Who Cares Reviews, Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern on this channel, on Dermy's channel, on Jed's channel. That's Dermy Wormy and Jed the Hollywood Scholar. You can join us then as we will rip into it further. I hope you guys had a good time with this. I didn't. I hate this show, and we still got 2 weeks left. Anyway, hit the like button, subscribe to me here on YouTube, and I'll catch you all later. Until then, take it easy. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.